Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cocktails and Rocktails with me, your most notorious groupie, Allison Rouse, author of this little guy right here. These other books as well. Fun little tongue-in-cheek books. Biggest groupie book ever, because didn't spend just a few years. There's a lot of years in here. A lot of rock and roll history. So go down in that description. Check it out, you guys, where you can get all these books, where you can get my merchandise, everything else. Go down. Hit me about. Well, no, that kind of fiddle about. Fiddle about. And speaking of fiddling about, you guys, I'm not fiddling every time when I start being so thankful for everybody here, the friendships I'm forming, the conversations we're having, the women that are coming on, the people who are just lurking and really enjoying it, and everybody who's commenting and just finding me. Welcome and thank you. From the bottom of my heart, you guys all truly mean so much to me, because I wouldn't be able to do this without you, and I do it every time I film. I do it for you guys, and thank you so much. But I do also do it because there are certain people watching who are in the industry, because I do want to sell my book, the purchase rights for a movie or a series, because sex, drugs, rock and roll, but from a perspective that has never been done before. A take on groupie that has never been heard before. So come on, you guys, let's rattle about. Let's shake up this fucking rock and roll bullshit. No more Almost Famous, no more roadies, no more of that bullshit. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. Really tell a good, dirty, heartwarming story. Because it is kind of heartwarming, but today's was not so heartwarming. Today's episode, we're going to talk about things that aren't always so perfect in rock and roll. I'm going to do a reading from the book, and I'm going to talk to you about Glenn Tipton in August of 2002. Now, we all know that in 2002, that's when John passed away. Things were kind of going crazy. I had started seeing Glenn before in January of 2002. That everything with John happened, obviously in June. And this is in August, when I had not told Glenn just yet, because you don't tell this over the phone to somebody. And he had even contacted me to find out if I knew what had happened, and I lied. I was like, no. Even though I trusted him. But okay, so we're going to do a reading, but it's going to be more of, ladies, know when to walk away, because I did walk away in this bit. All right, and today I'm finishing up. I made a big picture of, I call it a champarita. It's champagne with pre-made Jose Cuervo strawberry margarita. Normally I use the regular margarita, but today I want to see what the strawberry tasted like. So everybody grab your strawberries, kick up your feet, and let's have a little fucked up cocktails and rocktails. Cheers, big ears. So yummy. Way more yummy than the taste of Kip Winger. Oh, good God, that was horrible. Still have nightmares about it. But okay. So like I said, this is August 2002. The press hadn't quite found me yet. There was still about a month away. I had been talking to Glenn. I hadn't seen him since John died. I'd seen him a few times before that. So it's some rock stars. Those English boys, I'm telling you. This is when you start losing your taste. Well, at least when I started losing my taste, because I was an English rock star connoisseur. I had those boys for fucking breakfast. And this little incident, not so much fun. But I was not going to let some bitch try and win over me. All right, so let's start reading. So some time had passed and things happened as they do in rock and roll. It's an unpredictable world. This was my world at the moment. Judas Priest was playing Vegas again, and Glenn arrived the day before the show. He made it in about an hour or two, in 1 or 2 in the afternoon, checked into the Mandalay Bay, and promptly began gambling and drinking. Great. We went to the Hard Rock Casino later in the day, and I began drinking myself. After smoking a hash joint before, of course, because oh God, I used to get this hash that I would roll in my joints before oh my God, just fucking higher than fuck. So it would help in keeping me mellow. Because Lord knows I was going to need it that night. Glenn was in a mood. Oh, God, was he ever. He began by requesting some cocaine, or he would have to go back to the Mandalay and get some sleep. Like he was fucking threatening me. He said this as if it was some lame ultimatum. I don't do that stuff and didn't think I could get it. I wasn't going to get involved in that shit after what I had just experienced. When I told Glenn that I didn't know where to get it, he then said, "Well, then let's have a threesome." Started looking around. You talking to me? There's someone behind me? Because you're definitely not talking to me. Who in the hell did he think he was? Steve Jones? That was the only man that enjoyed those with me. And furthermore, who did he think I was? It wasn't just about who he thought he was. Who the fuck did he think I was? I thought he knew me better than that to ask that. This tangle went on for a few minutes, and I was getting annoyed and did something I usually didn't do in front of Glenn. I pulled out my cigarettes and began smoking. Fuck it. If he was going to be annoying me, I was going to piss him off. Because I just didn't give a fuck at that point. I was not going to be on my P's and Q's doing things that I knew would please him or not doing things that I knew annoyed him. So, ladies, if he's not treating you right, don't treat him right. And just when I thought things were going to calm down, Glenn walked off and towards some girls he had been eyeing for a threesome, which I was still protesting. Oh, good God. These girls were not hot. They were Forever 21 wearing bitches. They were white trash kind of girls that pretended they didn't know who Glenn was, but yet were still gasping and oohing and awing and starfuckering their way about him. Yeah, they had only been oogling Glenn and I's public displays of affection as well. It was quite obvious that I was with him and that he was with me. I tried to stop him, but to no avail. He was hell-bent on playing the rock star game. We know how I feel about that. Put your rock star in the road case, boys. What the fuck is flying around my face? But anyway, put your rock star in the road case, boys. I'm dating the man you are off stage. So I just didn't care by that point. I turned and started talking to the roadies that were hanging out and ordered another drink. I needed a big drink. Huge. Just after I ordered it and lit another ciggy, Walt, priest drum tech at the time, turned to me and asked, "Where's your man going?" "You better go take care of him. He is in no condition to be alone, and we don't want him to end up like someone else that we know did in this hotel." Because that's actually what Walt said to me. So Glenn was walking off with those girls, and I was like, the fuck? And what's the number one thing I always say a groupie hears more than anything? Go take care of your man. This was one of those moments, and at this moment in time, that was not my man I was going to go take care of. Fuck that. That is not the man I knew. And when Walt said that to me, because Glenn was hell-bent on the cocaine thing, Walt didn't know. He did not know. He was just like, and we were at the Hard Rock Hotel. This is a few months after John died. So he was just like, we don't want him to end up like somebody else we know at this hotel. I couldn't believe Walt said that. He meant John. I knew exactly what had happened because I was there. The look on my wide open jaw said just that to Walt, whose eyes turned as big as the moon. He knew. The second, because I was just like, what do you mean? I was just like, and Walt took one look at me and was like, holy fuck, girl. Because Walt was kind of my babysitter off stage. Yeah. I turned and looked over my shoulder. Sure enough, there was Glenn walking down the ramp from the bar to the casino area with these sad tramps. Because I'm going to call them tramps because they were fucking cunts who saw a man holding hands, kissing a woman, having his arms around her, sitting there with her, and didn't give a fuck. Even I don't pull that shit. Groupies have a little more tact and grace and boundaries than people think they do. These girls were just like some girl worked at Albertsons or some grocery store. So, okay. So, he was leaving the casino area with these sad tramps. What the fuck did he think he was doing? I thought to myself. Is he fucking kidding me? Good God, here we go again. Just because I was sleeping with him didn't mean I had to babysit him. I was 32 years old. Almost 32. I did not need to babysit his ass. He's a 57-year-old fucking man. I am not his road crew. I do not babysit him. Fuck no. But it actually did mean I had to babysit him. Another part every groupie plays, doing the job no one else wants to, and picking up another musician out of his latest drug trip. I was by now a pro at this. Unfortunately for me, but good thing for Glenn. I knew how to handle this. I walked quickly towards the little party Glenn had created and tapped him on the shoulder. So where are you going? I asked rather sternly, my hands planted firmly on my hips. To the pool. There's some party going on out there. Don't go anywhere. I will be back in an hour, he said to me. If you go out there, I will be here in an hour, I said as I turned back towards the bar and began walking away. He could have let me go, and I wish he would have. This was his first chance to let me go that night. Of course he didn't. Glenn grabbed me by the arm and spun me back around to him. No, baby, you're my kind of girl. Don't leave me. You're my girl, he slightly begged. That wasn't enough to keep me around. Fuck no. I had too much experience with his type. I would not stand for this at all. We argued for a second and Glenn told me to come with him. And keep in mind, the whole time this little scene is going on, those white trash girls are standing nearby waiting for him. This is a difference between starfuckers and groupies. No self-respecting groupie would cause such a mess or go after another guy that is already obviously with a woman, let alone be watching like hungry wolves on the sidelines as they argue. There is a code, certain rules all groupies have interned within themselves. These chicks were the lowest of the starfucker kind. They had no respect or care that they were the ones aggravating the problem. Glenn badgered me to go get my purse and come with him. I peeked over his shoulder to the still waiting wolf pack, and I think I missed over it. At some point, Glenn had already gotten a hold of cocaine. So he went to the bathroom, did cocaine with D, came back, and this all started happening. I don't do cocaine, and it's not, I don't want to be around people who are doing it. Because y'all get as annoying as fuck. So, okay, where are we? Glenn badgered me to go get my purse and come with him. I peeked over his shoulder to the still waiting wolf pack. I wasn't about to let any of these girls have my territory, because by this time, Glenn was my staked claim. I was first and foremost entitled to his company. Trust me. And I was earning first and foremost more entitlement at this moment in time, because, fuck. So I went back to the bar and grabbed my purse. I made some snide remark to Walt about, isn't rock and roll just a blast? He laughed, and I went back to the outstretched hand of Glenn. I had to call my best friend, Cousin Amy, and tell her to meet me at a different place since she was coming to hang out and meet Glenn. She knew I was dating him for about 6 months at this point. And let me just say this about Amy. She is brutal. She is fucking brutal, and I love her for it. She takes no bullshit from the likes of Glenn and always protected me from the bad ones. She had already kicked one of my men in the head repeatedly after he passed out on GHB. Glenn was beginning to look like number 2. I need to take a drink just reading this shit. All right. So not long after getting to the pool, the group set up a table and Glenn got himself and me a couple of drinks. Amy arrived and I took her over to the table to meet Glenn. She did not like him from the start, and she was cold as fuck towards him. He sensed this and inquired as to why she wasn't goo-gooing all over him. Because she sees the dick you were being. I said under my breath. He didn't hear me. After Amy got there, we split slightly away from the table and started flirting with other men. If he could, then I was sure as hell going to as well. You bet your ass. Just as we had 2 free drinks coming from the bar from the 2 latest men, Glenn stepped over to us and asked, "What are you doing?" Wondering what was up with the men surrounding Cousin Amy and I. Cousin Amy and me. "Mingling. No different than you," I said without even looking at him. I turned from him to walk away, but he held my arm and pulled me back. Not in a mean, harsh way, but in a trying to hold on to me kind of way. "Please, Allison, come back to the table. Don't leave me, baby." Because he didn't trust these girls. He didn't know these girls. He knew me. He trusted me. He knew who I was in rock and roll. Respected, part of the family. So he didn't know these girls. So he said, "Please, Allison, come back to the table. Don't leave me, baby." "You seem to have plenty of company. I don't think there's room for me at that table," I shot back. "Hey," Glenn strongly began, "you're my kind of girl. Remember this?" And he started doing this. "That is ours. No one else's. No one else has this with me," he said, pointing his finger at the both of us, indicating there was still apparently that energy going on for us. The only energy I had for him was anger, and I wanted more than anything to high-five him in his face right about now. How could he treat me this way? He said there was no excuse. "Please, baby, back to the table." I went back, not because he told me to, but because I wasn't going to let him leave with those whores. I wanted to step up and show my claim. I was trying to let them have the bastard. He was all theirs. Let those trash bags deal with his coked out drunk ass. But Glenn wouldn't let me go because between me and them, I was the trusted rock chick. Buck. Amy and I went to the table and Glenn made a point to chat up my best friend. He wanted to try to get on her good side. He never made it there. At the table, one of the girls pulled me aside. Her name was Natalie or Jamie or some shit. I just called her Natalie in the book. She asked what I was to Glenn. I looked at her with a very droll look on my face and told her it was none of her business. But just for the record, Glenn and I had been going on since January. I told her to step back. She didn't know who she was fucking with. She found out, though. I am the last person anybody wanted to piss off in Vegas. I had too many great connections in that town and could exile anyone at the drop of a hat. And that's not being egotistical or being high and mighty about myself. That was a fact. That was a fact, especially at the Hard Rock, which was the coolest place to hang out in Vegas at the time. I knew everybody there, from the owner to the president to the head of security to the head of VIP to the bartenders to the cocktail waitresses to the security guards, a couple of them who worked at my strip club. So you don't fuck with me, especially at the Hard Rock, and especially when I know most VIP hosts around Vegas, because I was part of that VIP crowd going to these parties. So I'm saying this as a woman who had the ammunition to make a threat. Natalie stepped back to the table and whispered something to her friend. "Oh, gee, wonder what that was." Little girls playing in a big girl's world. That's all they were. That was it. I turned to Amy and told her it was time to leave. Because, ladies, just because they're rock stars doesn't mean you have to sit there and be their little puppet. They're just men. And if any man is treating you like this, do exactly what I was about to do. Of course, he's part of the rock family. He's someone I was involved with. So, and plus, my ego was just like, fuck you, bitches. He's not going home with you. Fuck you. So that was it. I turned to Amy and I told her it was time to leave. "Finally," she said. "He is not good enough. She's good enough for you." She made sure Glenn heard that. We collected our purses from the table and walked away. Not a word. Just walked away. We didn't get very far before I heard Glenn calling after me. I didn't answer. I just kept on going into the crowd. He called again. Since I was not answering, he left the starfuckers at the table and came up quickly behind me, grabbing my arm once again. Where are you going? He demanded. I'm leaving. I'm coming with you. You're my good girl, he tried sweetly. Ooh, let's turn the page. Don't bother, I threw back. Hey, he stopped me. I am with you. Let's go. Really? Didn't seem like that about 5 minutes ago. Oh, didn't seem so with me 5 minutes ago, I scolded. Yet another chance for Glenn to let me go. He didn't. I wish he had. It was only about 10:30 and the night was not over yet. He looked at me. Well, you know what? I'm going to leave it there. You want to know what happened to the rest of the night? Buy the book. Because trust me, that night does not stop there. He still did not know yet that I was the woman with John the night he died. And John was a good friend of his. That night I also found out about the Tipton Powell and Twistle album that he released about 6 years after John passed away. He told me he had that material. He told me he was going to do it that night. But some other stuff happened that night. That schmokade did not. Oh, it definitely made another appearance. If you read the book, you know. Well, I've got this look on my face because, ladies, rock stars are not these perfect little entities that you worship and need to suck the sweat out of Jimmy Page's shirt when he comes off stage. They're just men and they can be assholes. And when they're being assholes, be an asshole right back. Do unto others. And Glenn was just pissing me the fuck off that night. Not the only night. Because trust me, he and I, we did not end on a good note, and I do not fucking care that we didn't. Because that right there told me everything he was. My ego just kept it going. But like I said, we left together and went back to his hotel at the Mandalay Bay that night. Where more shit. More shit. The shit that happened after what I just read makes that look like nothing. So, you want to know what happened? It's right in there, guys. All right, so I'm just going to leave you with that cliffhanger today, guys. And thank you so much to everybody who's made it to the end of the video with me, as always. Really appreciate it. You guys truly mean the world. Thank you to everybody who's watching the commercials. Because if you haven't bought the book, or you've read the book for free, or you have, you're just lurking, you guys support the channel. Just watch the commercials. Let's grow this channel. The more you watch the commercials, the more it boosts me up actually to be discovered on searches about groupies and stuff. So watch those commercials. It's free. It takes about a minute. And we all win. So, but I'm thankful for everybody, whether you watch those commercials or not. You guys rock, especially to the people who make it to the end. If you've read the book, you know this story, but if you haven't read the book, go get it. And if you are downloading it on Kindle, read it from the first page to the last. Because otherwise, for all my hard work, for the 8 years it took me to write this book, I don't get paid for it. And I do deserve it. This is such I hate plugging. I hate saying this. But I lost a lot of stuff. I sacrificed a lot of stuff. I've been through a lot of hell for this book. Make it worth it. For everybody who makes it worth it. Like I said, whether you're a member, whether you are lurking, whether you are subscribed, whether you're sharing, whether you're just joining us, I just want to thank everybody for making this such an amazing place to be. No matter how big we are, I want to go hit at least 10,000. So, but we're on our way, you guys. We're almost to 2,000. We're about halfway there, third of the way there, almost. So let's do it, guys. So to get that done, go ahead and hit that button, hit the share, hit the like, hit the subscribe, watch the commercials, and everybody, thank you. We will see you here next time on Cocktails and Rocktails. Cheers, big ears.